ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Jai Gurudev. I think yesterday we did 2 orders of reality. We also did the 12th verse. So the 2 orders of reality are Atma and Anatma, right? Satya and Mithya. And the examples of the snake and the rope. So you would not be affected by the sliminess of the rope, imagining that the snake is on it, right? So the only thing that could affect Atma would be something enjoying the same order of reality. So nothing that is projected can affect you. So Anatma is all that of, it's only projection, it's only Mithya. So Atma then is not going to be affected by Mithya, just as imaginary snake you see on the rope cannot affect the rope. If the rope is wet, it is wet. It has not been made so by the sliminess of the snake you see sitting on top of it. So the Atma is not affected by anything that has been superimposed upon it. Therefore, the basis Adhisthana Satya is not affected by Mithya. That is what we saw. Similarly, in a relationship, unless they are of the same order of relationship, the dependence between son-in-law, father-in-law as the example, is entirely different and is not what is under discussion here. So that is not what is being talked of here. What we are discussing is Atma, which is Satya, and Anatma, which is Mithya. Just as the Swarupa of water is not affected by the wave. So the Swarupa of Atma, Satchit Ananda, is not affected by Anatma, which is Mithya. And this is the subject matter which is discussed throughout the Gita. Right? So, and this is also justifying how this verse, Ashocyan and Vashochastvam, starts with a negative term, Nivritti Atmakam. And it is not improper because the beginning of Mahabharata or starts with Dhritarashtra, which means actually someone who sustains the earth, which is nothing but which is invoking goddess Saraswati. So, because usually for an auspicious beginning, there is a prayer. And for the argument, why is there a negative term for the starting of the Gita with Ashocyan? It is that the starting of the Gita is already started with Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Right? So, Natvevaham jatu nasam, natvam nime janadhipaha, nachaiva na bhavishyamaha, sarve vayamatav param. So there was never a time that I did not exist, nor you, nor these kings, nor will any of us cease to exist in the future. So if all these people are, we actually did this yesterday. I'm just going quick recap before we go on to the next verse. So how is, if all these people are going to die, how can it be said that they do not cause sorrow for the bereaved? Surely, since they are going to die, they must be the cause of sorrow. Even those who are not on the battlefield are shochas because they too are eventually going to die. Addressing this doubt, Krishna shifted the discussion to the vision of Atma. His statements were not meant as an argument to kill, but rather to provide an understanding of dharma so that what was to be done could be done. Since Arjuna also wanted absolute Shreyas, Krishna talked about the nature of Atma. So, from the whole argument of Arjuna that so and so is going to be killed and therefore it's going to cause sorrow, Krishna shifted the whole argument to Atma, saying, what are you grieving for? The body, which is part of Anatma, is anyway going to perish. He said, there is no time that I did not exist. To say that I did not exist at some time is not true. I always existed. Krishna was obviously, therefore, not an ordinary person. He was an avatara. He could say, I always existed. Could the same thing be said of a jiva like Arjuna? Krishna said, that you did not exist before is also not true. You too always existed. So he already has equated Arjuna and Krishna and everybody else because the essential nature of everyone is nothing but Atma. Though being a prince, Arjuna was also not an ordinary person. Krishna therefore went on to say that all the stalwarts standing before them on the field, leaders of the people, chieftains, commanders in chief, and all the other soldiers had also always existed. What Krishna was saying in this verse is that all of us are eternal. I was therefore before, and you were there before, and were all these other people, as were all these other people. In his vision, they were all there before. The next question would be, what about later? We might have existed before, but why we might not exist later? Will there be a time in the future when I am not? Krishna says, no. After the destruction of the body, you will continue to exist. Krishna was very inclusive in all his statements. He never excluded anything. That's how Atmajnana is. It is the one thing that connects all of us. Birth and death in terms of the vision of the Gita. We have a concept that everyone is born and we have a horoscope to prove it. We know that we were born at a given time and take this to mean that there was a time when we were not. This is a very well entrenched notion about the I, that I was born, that I am getting old, that I am going to die, and so on. If you're born, you will naturally get old. The notion that you're getting old is going to be there as long as you think you are born. In the vision of the Gita, there is no such thing as birth for you. Atma, I, is not born. The notion that I am born is negated here by using double negatives. That we celebrate the birthday of Krishna does not confirm the non existence of Krishna before. It only confirms that on this particular day, in this particular form, Nama Rupa, Krishna was born. To say that he was born in this Nama Rupa is correct and creates no problems. But to say that Krishna was not there before, despite what people might think, is not true. Therefore, Krishna was not really born. He was as though born. So, when we're talking of Krishna again, it is not just that Nama Rupa, that with the one with the flute and the peacock feather. It is the essence. It is Brahman himself, which is nothing but Satchidananda, eternal. It is Satya. It was there before, it is there now, and it will continue to be there. Krishna went on to say, that is why they say, don't see Gurudev as a person, as a concept, as a physical form. Much more than that. Krishna went on to say that it is also not true to think that you were not there before. There was no time that you were not there. Krishna told Arjuna that he too essentially was timeless and that everyone else was as eternal, as existent as Krishna was. Similarly, we always think that we will not exist later, a conclusion that calls for lamentation. This notion is also not true, Krishna said. Whatever form you take yourself to be, you definitely exist. As an individual jiva or atma, you definitely exist. The jivatva, individuality, may not exist later, but as atma, you will always exist. Because the jivatva goes when a person is enlightened, only atma is meant to be taken here. It is in this sense that Krishna said to Arjuna, there was never a time when I was not. There was never a time when you were not. Nor was there ever a time when all these leaders were not. Similarly, there will never be a time when all of us will not be. Does this mean then that this fluid will continue forever because all these atmas are going to be eternally there? No, the use of the plural here was only with reference to forms, upadhis. There was never a time when we were not there, nor will there ever be a time when we will not be there. We can use pots and pot space as an example. The pots will come and go, but all the pot spaces will always be there because there is only one space. The words used in this verse, I, aham, you, tvam, we, vayam, kings janadipaha, are all with reference to the bodies seemingly enclosing one atma, like many pots enclosing one space. So the pot here is the upadhi. Similarly, the body, physical body is the upadhi. So upadhi is what? Upasamipe sthitva swiyam dharmam rupam anyatra adadhati iti upadhihi. That which imparts its qualities to another by staying close to it is called an upadhi. Beautiful, beautiful thought to contemplate upon. Pots and the pot space. Pots will come and go, but the pot space will continue. And the pot space was there even before the pot was created, was there when the pot was there, and will continue even after the pot is destroyed. So when Krishna was saying, there was never a time when I never existed, you never existed, neither were, there was never a time when all these people did not exist. He was referring to that space, the Atma Tattva of everybody. That is eternal. And he did not mean by saying there's no need to kill. He, there was that beautiful statement that said, it was, he had to continue doing his dharma. Yeah, so his statements were not meant as an argument to kill, but rather to provide an understanding of dharma so that what was to be done could be done. Because he says, even those who are not on the battlefield are shochas. Those that are there on the battlefield are also not cause for shocha. Yeah. It's beautiful, no? So, understanding these two orders of reality, Satya and Mithya, understanding also that the whole world, Jagat, is Mithya, we will have to continue doing our dharma. We cannot take a stand and say, oh, everything is anyway Mithya, so why should I do anything? That argument will not hold. As long as we are in this body, as long as we have a swakarma and a swadharma, we will have to continue to do what is to be done. That is the whole confusion that Arjuna kept getting into. And how beautifully Krishna is teasing it out and analyzing it and telling him, hey, listen, you are eternal. I am eternal. Everybody else is. So what are you grieving for? So we saw birth and death in terms of the vision of the Gita. So are we ever born? We are not born. It is what is born is only the Nama Rupa is born. And this Nama Rupa has a limited existence. That will come and go. But what remains is the Swarupa. That is eternal. That never changes. Atmas are not many. Shankara makes this important observation here in the last line of his commentary, Bhashya. Deha bheda anuvritya bahuvachanam na atma bheda abhiprayena. The plural has been used here with reference to the various bodies and not with reference to the one Atma, the self. See how clear, very nicely it is being said. Otherwise, there can be an argument saying, oh, so there are many Atmas. Bahuvachanam was used, but that was only with respect to the Upadhis. The people standing before Krishna and Arjuna all had different physical bodies. Only from the standpoint of the physical bodies there is plurality, not from the standpoint of Atma. There are no differences in Atma. It is not that a Krishna Atma existed and Arjuna Atma existed and other Atmas existed, and all these having existed before will continue to exist forever. That is not the contention here at all. Atmas are not many. There is only one Atma. Atma that is not subject to time. Nitya Atma, being without form and attributes, can only be one. Anitya, that which is subject to time, means anything that has a form with attributes with an upadhi. Only then can it be subject to time. But an Atma that is subject to time is not the Atma we are talking about. Atma is the very basis, the adhisthana of time, and therefore is not subject to time. Because it is not subject to time, it is nitya. Because the forms, upadhis, are many, there are many people, whereas Atma is one whole consciousness, Chaitanya, not bound by time. In that consciousness alone is my mind, your mind, and any other mind. These minds differ, as do the bodies. When we count, the bodies are many, but not from the standpoint of consciousness, chit. Thus, what is necessary is the negation of a notion. Instead of telling Arjuna that Atma is Nitya, thereby creating a concept in his mind, Krishna removed the notion of his being time bound. When we are told that Atma is eternal, we think of Atma as having a long, long life. Here, instead, the concept of Atma being time bound is knocked off. It is negated. There was never a time when I, you, or anyone else was not. Nor will there be a time when we will not be, Atma being timeless. Since you cannot cry for the timeless, Atma is not a cause for sorrow, it is ashochya. Anatma, on the other hand, alone is subject to change. It is anitya. Even if you want to stop this present second, you cannot because it is already gone. Therefore, crying for anatma is foolish. Both Atma and Anatma, therefore, are Ashochya.
Please, can you read it again?
So, because the forms, upadhis, are many, there are many people, correct? Whereas Atma is one whole consciousness, Chaitanya, not bound by time. In that consciousness alone is my mind, your mind, and any other mind. These minds differ, as do the bodies. How come? Why do the minds differ? Because if we go back to the genesis of this, Atma is something upon which Maya, the illusion, creates the whole gamut of the whole universe. Using what? The three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamo gunas. And from here come all the five elements. With From sattva comes, from the sattvic aspect, there is creation. There is, from the rajasic aspect, there is all that, the prana and then from the tamasic aspect, the gross elements are formed. So there is, if you look at that as the whole creation, we are all different in the sense from when you, from the standpoint of upadhis, from the standpoint of individual bodies, individual minds. We are all different. But what is that oneness that is connecting us? Is the very basis. The Atma Chaitanya, that is the basis of the whole creation, that is one. That is universal. That is the common connecting thread. So therefore, in that consciousness alone is my mind, your mind, and any other mind. These minds differ, as do the bodies. When we count, the bodies are many, but not from the standpoint of consciousness, chit. Thus, what is necessary is the negation of a notion.
Which notion? Means we are
That
different.
I am the body.
Okay.
Instead of telling Arjuna that Atma is Nitya, thereby creating a concept in his mind, Krishna removed the notion of his being time bound. That is the whole point Arjuna had. No, his misery was that we are time bound, that this body is going to die. He's going to kill his guru and his grandfather. So Krishna is removing the notion of his being time bound. He's elevating his vision to saying, hey, you are Atma, which is not time bound, which is the basis of time. So that is the notion that is being negated. The negation is that I am the body and I am time bound. Krishna removed the notion of his being time bound. When we are told that Atma is eternal, we think of Atma as having a long, long life. Instead, here, the concept of Atma being time bound is knocked off, it is negated. There was never a time when I, you, or anyone else was not. See, he's using a lot of negatives, no? Nachaitad vidmah. No, what is the verse here? Let me just come to the verse. Natve vaham jatu nasam. Natvam neme janadipaha. Nachaiva na bhavishyamaha. Sarve vayamataf param. There's so many nas used here. Na is negating. It is the nivritti, Atmaka Shastra that is being unfolded, right? The Gita is the whole of the Gita is nothing but the nivritti Atmaka Shastra. So, Natve Vaham. There was never a time that I did not exist. There was never a time that you did not exist. Nor there was never a time when all these kings did not exist. So that negation is what is being talked here. And what is that negation? Is that Atma is not time bound. There was never a time when I, you, or anyone else was not, nor will there be a time when we will not be. Atma being timeless. Since you cannot cry for the timeless, Atma is not a cause for sorrow. It is Ashocha. Anatma alone is subject to change. It is Anitya. Even if you want to stop this present second, you cannot because it is already gone. Therefore, crying for Anatma is foolish because that is its nature. Nature of Anatma is to change. And it is foolish to cry for something that is changed. You're crying for that something that is bound to be changed, bound to change is changing. Therefore, both Atma and Anatma are therefore Ashocha. Anything time bound is always time bound. You cannot expect constancy from something whose nature is change itself. If you are aggrieved or sad because something that changes by nature is not constant, what you need is proper understanding of the nature of Atma and Anatma, neither of which is a matter for sorrow. So the whole thing revolves under what? Proper understanding.
So
Viveka.
the Atma being timeless and it not be destroyed, the Abhyayam.
Mm-hmm.
Also that Anatma is ever changing and it's bound to be born and bound to be gone with time. So understanding that part of it is, that kind of helps. Whether and that not cause for sochya, because that's what the nature is.
Yeah. So
So
the
the
whole
yeah, the next verse I think he explains it a little bit
correct.
more about
Yeah.
anatma.
Yeah. Dehi nosmin yatha dehe, right? That is the next one.
Right.
So either way you take it, this fact remains. Therefore, the first line of the previous verse becomes increasingly true as our understanding of Atma and Anatma increases. So there may be an argument who says Atma and Anatma. I'm just talking of the, taking the Pratipaksha Bhavana, taking the opposite stand. I'm here in this body, and the body is true. The pain, suffering that I'm going through is the what my body goes through is affecting me. So, what is this Atma? What is this Anatma? For that, what will be the answer? Supposing there's an argument that someone
So
comes
the
up and says,
body is constantly changing, right? Like to the age, like the youth, and
yeah,
I mean after the 7 years or 8, according to this they said 7 years, but after the childhood then you become the youth, and youth becomes like old age, and so on. And so just because one stage to another stage, we are not reborn at that stage. It's the same person going through that, and it's the same person, meaning, you know one is the anatma, the body mind complex in that sense. In another sense is this I, the self is that big I is never changing. It is the same, even though the changes that happens to the body. So the pain may be there now, but it will go away. It's not going to be constant. That's what.
that is correct. What you said is very right.
Mhm.
That is where Shraddha comes in. That is where the Vedas come in. That is where the Astika comes in. A non
Right.
believer versus believer. Only when you believe that there is something called Atma that you will even come to this knowledge.
Mm,
Otherwise, you can be a pragmatist, you can be an ethical person, you can say, and as an atheist, say, what is this Atma, Anatma? I am here in this life, I am going to live, and I'm going to die. That's it, end of matter.
right.
Correct?
Yeah.
So, it requires, in order for us even to come to this knowledge, there should have been some samskaras that we've all done,
Yeah.
some uh, what is
But,
called that adrishta phala is
yeah.
what has brought us even to this thinking. Hey, listen, what is this? I want to know more. I want to know more about this Atma. So, therefore, there is in the Sadhana Panchakam, it is one of those is do not do not entertain arguments by people who are non-believers. So we should
Mm,
not get caught up.
right.
It will let us go astray. There may be people in our
Yeah.
associate that we
Definitely.
are associated with who
Hmm.
have not got exposed to this at all. They
Mm,
might just pick up some arguments, and then sometimes we might get stuck. Like say, hey, listen, I think I've reached a dead end. How do I explain this? We
mm,
don't need to be bothered by that at all. That is why it is said in the Sadhana Panchakam, do not get carried away by those that are argumentative
Mm.
about the
Right.
scriptures. Correct? So,
Yeah, that same line actually about the astikas and the Masastra, like, who understand that, understand this better
correct.
than the other
So,
kind.
we are not here to convince people. We are
Right.
here
Our
to
own
for our
understand.
own evolution.
Yeah.
Right? This is all about your evolution. Yeah, of
Mm.
course, here we are together as a group because all of us are on the same line of thinking.
Mm.
But we are not here to convince XYZ about that Atma is. It is their journey. When time is right, he or she will get onto the journey. Right? So, why I'm saying this is because sometimes we might get into, when we're just talking about this, some person who's not exposed to this knowledge will just throw a statement, and then
Mm.
suddenly will realize, hey, correct, isn't that correct? No. So there we keep the Shraddha and we continue.
Mm.
The constancy of the Atma. Krishna provided an example in this verse to help Arjuna understand how Atma is always the same and never changes. देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. Yatha, just as, Dehinaha, for the indweller of the body, Asmin Dehe, in this body, Kaumaram, childhood, Yauvanam, youth, Jara, old age, Tatha, so also, Dehaha Antara Praptihi, the gaining of another body. Tatra, there, with reference to that, Dhiraha, a wise person, Na Muhyati, is not deluded. यथा देहिनः अस्मिन् देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देह अन्तरप्राप्तिः तत्र धीरः न मुह्यति. Just as how for an indweller of this body, the jiva, that is childhood, youth, and old age, so too is the gaining of another body. With reference to that, a wise person does not come to grief. Where does the person, the jiva, exist? The jiva, the one who makes the body conscious, is the indweller of this body. In other words, the jiva referred to in this verse as the dehi is nothing but Atma with a body, mind, and senses. In this verse, Krishna referred to the threefold states that the body undergoes, each of which is distinct from the other two. For instance, in boyhood, there is no need for shaving, whereas in youth and adulthood, there is. Nor is a person likely to require a cane in either of these two states, unlike in old age. When childhood passes, does the one dwelling in the body survive or not? If there were no survivor, an old man could not talk about his earlier exploits and accomplishments. His voice is certainly no longer the voice of his boyhood, having become very shaky due to the changes brought about by age. But the I is the same. The I is solid, not shaky. Thus, the one who was in childhood is the one who was in youth and is the one who is now. That I does not change at all. I think all of us here have done the happiness program, right? So, just referring to the eternity process that we do, the immortality process that we do, everything changes, but that I does not change. The witness does not change. As each state comes and goes, the I remains the same. Although each state is destroyed, the Atma is never destroyed. The body is said to undergo a metamorphosis every 7 years, but the person remains the same. The birth of a later state does not imply a new birth and a new life for the person, the Atma. Nor does death of the previous state spell death for the Atma. These states come and go, and Atma remains the same in a given body. The same Atma sees all three states: childhood, adulthood, and old age. One need only ask an elderly person what he or she had for lunch. In response to this simple question, an elderly man may start with his first marriage. The Atma is the same through all the experiences of life. Just as each of these states is taken for the Atma, another body can also be taken for the Atma, even though Atma itself remains the same. Just as how a person does not remember his or her first 3 years, in the same way, previous lifetimes in other bodies are also not remembered, which is just as well, since there would only be that many more problems. If we all knew our own and each other's previous births, we would be blaming people from those lifetimes just as we do in this one. There would then be far too many situations and people to blame. So thank God for this memory loss, that we do not remember our previous births. We have forgotten, but that Atma is constant. Through childhood, through youth, through adulthood, through old age, to the next body that is about that it will take up. The previous body that it has gone through, Atma remains constant. Known or unknown, Atma is the same, be it with reference to the first 3 years of this birth or to previous births. Thus, from the standpoint of Atma, there is no reason for sorrow born of self decimation. It is the same even from the standpoint of the simple Jiva, the one who has a body. Where is the reason then for getting into a state of delusion that I will be absent at any time? The Jiva will continue with or without a body. Without a body, there is no problem. I am Atma and therefore timeless. As a Jiva, gaining a new body gives you a new and better start. If you did not make proper use of the previous body, now you can make better use of the new one. The wise have no sorrow because a wise person has the knowledge of Atma and Anatma. There is no question of he or she being sorrowful. Such a person knows that what does not change cannot be changed, and what changes cannot be stopped. When the facts are clear, there is no sorrow. The wise person is one who knows what is real, Atma, and what is unreal, Anatma. Further, Krishna goes on to verse 14.
Dr. Brahman, the last paragraph,
Mm.
the last sentence, like when they gain new body, which is like another birth, is that's the way
Yeah,
it meant?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Another
Okay.
birth.
So I'm wondering, like, as the stage changes, like in the same birth, that the body changes. That I don't think they meant that part. It's a new body means new body, like taking another birth.
See, you can even extrapolate it to a change in your, like for instance, Dvija is a twice born. When a child is initiated into the um,
Upakarna,
Sandhya Vandana,
Sandhyavandana.
yeah, and he's given the Brahma Vidya,
Mm,
so he is considered twice born. So
mm,
you can interpret it that way also. See, for all
mm,
of us who've done the art of living,
mm,
before art of living and after art of living, big
mm,
change. It's like we've taken a new birth altogether,
mm,
so to say, right? So in the previous time, we were not aware of all this. We were partying, we were socializing, we we're doing X, Y, Z. But
mm.
now our all our intentions, our life's direction, the whole direction itself has changed.
That-
So it is as though we're taking the it's a new birth, so to say. So you can
mm,
extrapolate it either way. But
mm.
it also means what is meant here is basically getting a new body,
New
not in
body.
this life, getting another
But
birth,
making better use of the new
better
one.
use of the new body.
Mm,
So getting to know this, if we are still caught up with the world,
mm,
how what more what can there be a more lamentable situation, which is why Shankara says in Bhaj Govindam,
mm,
Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Moodhamate.
mm,
O foolish one, stop your worldly pursuits.
mm.
Bhaja Govindam. So that
Yeah.
is why that mumukshutva is such an important aspect this
Mm-hmm.
of this path. That is why moksha has to be like China, like Swami Suryapadaji said, it
Mm,
cannot be bottom of your list, to do list. It has to be on the top.
mm.
That should direct your life, your daily activity. That has to be there in the forefront.
Okay. So the wise have no sorrow because they know the what is real and not unreal, like Atma and Atma Viveka. And then does not person knows that what does not change cannot be changed, and what changes cannot be stopped. So this is the takeaway thing, right? What does not change cannot be changed, which is like Atma. What changes cannot be stopped, like our body changes, or the situation changes, or the world changes. That cannot be stopped. In, in a way, right? As we're getting older, every time, like every shanam passes by, we cannot stop that time, right? That is, it keeps going. That in the last one, how nicely Bhagavan Krishna telling um, Arjuna, there is no time that I did not exist, then you did not exist, or anybody else not exist. And then the future again, not that nobody exists like that. He mentioned it to just say it directly, like Atma is timeless and never changes. I mean, not to be destroyed or not changes. And this one, the same, like nicely given. This what does
Brahmaraji, Atma is Sarvasakshi and Jiva is coming and going with or without body. So, means what is the connection then?
Atma is a whole, the same thing.
Jiva is nothing but Atma with a body that is enclosed by the body. That is what we call Jiva. Atma Sat Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. Jiva and Brahma are not different, right?
Hmm.
The whole thing of Tattvamasi is what? Is that this Jiva is nothing but Brahma. The Jivatva that is there in you is the same as in me, as the same as in Krishna. So the Atma is not different. It is not Krishna
Hmm.
Atma, Arjuna Atma. No.
Hmm.
That is one consciousness. That is the substratum. That is the basis of all of creation. In that, in the creation, there are different bodies are there. Therefore, the different minds are there. But then the Jivatva is the same. When we say, that is why when we say, I belong to you, such a powerful, I mean, Gurudev has given the highest knowledge in the very beginning of the happiness program. With when we say, I belong to you, what is that belongingness there?
But
It is
the
the Atma
Jivatva
Tattva
is
that is belonging. Huh?
the Jivatva is the individuality that is being destroyed. Like as the body goes, that part of that quality of that Jiva, like say for my example, like um, I am like a doctor or whatever, that part is gone when I'm gone. That whatever that they call Jivatva in this text also, and they
Jivatva is nothing but, wait, let me get to the
it said
Jivatva.
in the individuality, that is the one is gone, but the Jiva itself, like you said, like Atma and the is the same. That's in the previous one, I think. Jivatva comes in the uh, Dehi, or where did we read about Jiva and Atma? Not here.
Yeah,
Yeah, here. The the similarly you read that part here.
correct. Sorry. I think I made a mistake when I said Jivatva. You're very right, Dr. Mara. Thank you for bringing that up. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
we always think that we will not exist later, a conclusion that calls for lamentation. This notion is also not true. Whatever form you take yourself to be, you definitely exist. As an individual jiva or atma, you definitely exist. The jivatva, individuality, may not exist later, but as atma, you will always exist. You're very right, and the example you've given is also, you know, wonderful to understand. Like you said, you're
No,
like
I
you're
also
a
thought
doctor. So when you're
Jivatva
gone,
was like it's some comment of thing, but just reading yesterday only, I also made it out this
correct.
individuality. Yeah, that kind of nice. Thank you.
So jivatva is the association of the jiva with that particular body. Like for instance, someone is a singer, I'm a doctor, I'm someone is uh, a teacher, things like that. So that is the jivatva. That jivatva would disappear, would go when a person gets enlightened. Only atma is meant to be taken here. It is in this sense that Krishna said to Arjun. So then it is in that context. So the upadhis will change, but the basis of the upadhi, which is the jiva, with respect to a physical given body, with respect to one given body, it is jiva. But when you take the sum total, it is atma or Brahman. It's the same. I hope, Sarlaji,
The,
you're
yeah, the other example also, Dr. Brahma, that it's remember like the examples of the pot is
Pot in the
enclosed
pot
in the
space.
space. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that way we are all in the same Namarupa, all these beings, all other this tree, everything on non-living beings also, all is included in that space. That
correct.
space is the one whole Atma, like Brahman. So, like you mentioned that Atmas are not many. So we had that idea in the past, but I also had that question, like, are we having individual Atmas? Like, not really. Like, if you break all the walls and that space is all united and it's on one whole big space.
Mm.
And that comparison given to space, so that's how that topic came up as how we um, uh, equate space to this Brahman, Uh,
Yeah.
and that was a simile that was given in the Atma Bodha also.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Correct. So supposing we have a brown pot or a red pot or a blue pot. So that blueness, that redness, the red pot, that is likened to the jivatva, the individuality. But when that is gone, when you break that pot, what remains is the space. So that is what is meant by when a person is enlightened, the jivatva might go, but the jiva, the consciousness, that is the same. That is eternal.
Like waves, we come and go, and water is same. Ocean.
Mm, mm,
Some tsunami waves, small waves, big waves, like that. We're
mm.
all different.
Beautiful idea to contemplate upon. And it's very elevating, no? Where the very thought of this makes you feel so uplifted. And all the five knowledge points we learned in the happiness program, like for instance, situations, accept situations and people as they are. Because why? They're changing all the time. We want that relationship to be the same. We want that person to behave to us the same way. We're expecting changelessness from something that is changing. How funny is that? Our own mind keeps changing. Forget about others.
how true it is, you know. Hmm.
No? But you
Yeah,
want
like, see, that's
everyone to
what
be
we
the
are
same.
doing, right? Like Arjuna, we are worrying for all these things, or we make our mind work up
Yeah. And
our
then we create our own sorrow, like the spider
sorrow.
creates its own web and
Yeah,
then dies in its web. We're creating our own projections and then we ultimately get engulfed in that.
worked up about it. Oh my God.
Mhm.
That's so funny that.
Power of Maya.
Yeah.
Maya Mem Sab. So we have to be aware of her. We have to respect Maya, but
Yeah.
be aware that that is Maya. So we'll stop here today. We'll go to verse 14 tomorrow, which is Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkadaha, Agama Payino Nitya Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. So he's coming to opposite values are complementary over here. Very beautiful.
Yeah, this is a good sloka too.
ॐ लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु जय गुरुदेव
Let's sit comfortably, easily. Eyes closed and body relaxed. Relax your shoulders, sit back and relax. Easy and comfortable. Become aware of your whole body and become aware of the weight of your body. And place the weight of your body on the chair or on the floor you are sitting. And honor your own body. Your body is a precious gift to you from God, from nature. Let us honor our own body. Become aware of your breath. Honor your own breath. It's the breath that is keeping us alive. Breathe in and breathe out. Like fish in the water, we are in air. Become aware of the air all around you and inside of you. Become aware of the third dimension, your mind. Our body is like the wick of a candle. The mind is like the glow all around it. Whatever thoughts are in the mind, just let them come. As the body relaxes, your mind expands. Become aware of the vast space all around you and above you. And repose with a smile. This moment, there is nothing to do and nothing to know either. Let every corner of our mind start to relax, expand, and repose. Shanti. 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 Slowly and gradually become aware of your body and surroundings. And take a deep breath in and breathe out. And you may gently open your eyes.